Hi, everybody. This is Joanna from Universal Love Light and Heavenly Radiance and Joanna's Ascension and Healing Systems. I'm sure the name will change. Every time I say it, it comes out different. And this is what we do, constant evolution. Today, we are going to talk about a continued topic. Are you ready to step into a higher vibrational template of you? And that just came to me just before I came on. Oftentimes when I'm communicating with the teams and my guides and all of the consciousness that I'm connecting and communicating with, um, they often show me these multidimensional concepts, if you will, um, because it's a multidimensional language. And it comes in various forms and how we receive it. Oftentimes, because of how I read energy and sense energy, it's just a knowing. Because as I'm opening up myself in this human body, I'm understanding that I'm a soul. I'm an oversoul and an oversoul and oversoul. And I can feel those aspects of me that understand at that level what it is I'm being presented at this level. And so even though I might not have the words or the description or the drawings or the ability in our 3D reality to 5D reality to express it, I understand the energies that are being harmonized to begin this open template of codes, this open template of information, this open template of profundity, this open template of a higher vibrational me, us, that we are all becoming, that Gaia is becoming, our collective. And so because I can feel it. It's a sensation that I feel. And oftentimes, as I'm just explaining to you now, I don't know what that means until I say it. And then I see, right now, I see the various threads and pictures of what the piecing together of the stories are. And that's how living in the now moment, understanding who you are as source, living as the soul that you are, allows you to open up to the profundity of all of these threads coming together that the ego mind tries to control and manipulate the puzzle, which creates limiting potentiality, and it continues us in cycles of sameness, of unevolvement, if you will. Not necessarily that it's a de-evolved state, but it will evolve at a much, much slower process, because the ego is not spirit. The ego is not the soul. And the ego only has a limited function of functionality and understanding of the multiverse omnipresent that we are becoming. Remember, in all of our offerings, this is sacred space. This is a sacred communion space that we're always offering in the highest vibrations through the Holy Lord Michael, the realms of the highest angelics, Christ consciousness, the brotherhoods and sisterhoods of light, lords of Melchizedek, all of the councils and all of the orders, the infinite number of angelic beings and guides and help from all over our omnipresence that are tuning in with us, because each of us are from different systems. Each of us are from different galaxies of co-creation. Each of us are here as an individual body and soul, depending on where you're at with your awakening, that we're here to awaken and activate and re-enhance, reignite, reinvent who we are as spirit beings having a human experience. So therefore, you will be brought forward into the community every time we gather, of the teams and the collectives and the beings that you so require in your highest and your best for the highest divine order, for the highest benevolent offering, so that you may receive all that you're meant to receive. So just know that, have that as your knowing. That'll be a part of our offering today. And so part of these ascension offerings and these experiences, part of the human patterning and the conditioning that we're moving through and transcending from, as we've often talked about, the experiences that we have as humans in our conditioning, that we're transcending 3 to 4D and stepping into a 5D higher template of version of you, is allowing yourself to live fully and invite this full presence of who you are as source to live through you, so that you can begin to see all of your reality as this omnipresent now moment, fluidic movement of transmutation and beingness. In the last couple of days in this new transition I'm stepping into is really about surrendering everything that I've known to be as physical and really living in the present now moment as spirit, releasing all attachment that the physical offers. That is that state of being that is presence, releasing all expectation, releasing all outcome expectation. That is the egoic. All of those lower vibrational patterns, and we only say lower for our reason to define what we're trying to explain. Not that it has any valuation, because it doesn't. It's required in our learning process, because as I'm stepping into this new now, I understand the value in everything that it had offered me, and I wouldn't have been able to be here now without that, because it's all now. They're just, again, vibrational threads of this now moment within our omnipresence. So all that I offer and honor in all moments without valuing it, again, this is part of the omnipresence beingness, and why I'm saying it, why I'm offering it. Oftentimes the vibrational me ego says, well, why are we explaining that? Let's just get on with the teaching. That's ego. There was a smaller aspect of me that I'm now healing to let that part go. I'm explaining it to you in this way because you'll get it as you start to move through these experiences of multidimensional nowness. That part, that soul part was just saying, well, you're valuing it now, so you're opening up into the fuller potential of who you are, that higher template of who you are. So honor all that you are, not trying to rush through any one process. And there's more to it, but that'll come to me later, because there's another part of me showing me that there's more to that of what I just said. And so what we're talking about is the ego patterns, that the ego has been entrained for safety through the programs and the experiences that we've created through separation, through living in those fear vibrations, because separation is how we've created all of those fear programs. And those fear programs then create egoic patterns and egoic beliefs that maintain that sense of, which is an illusion, that sense of control that we think we need and we need to have, which are all illusory because there is only love. But however, this is the game of duality and the polarity. As we're continuing to transmute dense energies, continue to transmute, open up, and to project out and traject ourselves into the allness that we are as a soul. And so our last offering we talked about, and again, review as often as you choose to and are inspired to and are driven to through your soul and through your higher self inspiration, to return to the messages, because they offer, as we said, a multidimensional coding and offerings from your teams and from your guides and your higher self, so that you'll receive something different every time through your open heart and through your intention. And so what we talked about last time was that our understanding that living as a soul is allowing us to step into this all presence, releasing attachments at the physical level. And attachments, as we offered last time, and we're going to continue to talk about this, because it allows you to step into this allness and really understanding what attachments are and transcending them in the most allowing way, because allowing is that open operative that allows you to now flow as this higher program of light that you are becoming. And so this experience of being this higher template version of you is allowing yourself to know that you're the omnipresent, you're a field, you're an enmeshment of love and light and vibrations and sound and tones. Now within these vibrational energies and templates of who you are, you have the psyche template, the mental, the emotional, and the etheric templates, as well as many other fields that you open up as you rise in your frequency of the lower self, harmonizing with the higher self. And it's a constant harmonization through the center point, centering and balancing, choosing from your higher perspective of neutrality. All is perfect, all is source, all is valid. Then you choose. So that neutrality is really important. That neutrality assists you in releasing a lot of the ego negative energies and programs that we've all been playing, but have most often than not, because of its programming, patterning, habituation, all of those words that allow us just to keep running programs, that do not evolve who we are as a soul. And we retard the cell, we retard DNA, we retard our evolution, a de-evolved state of human experience, if you will. And so this higher pattern of who you are and who you choose to become is living as this soul essence and releasing that template of that physical patterned experience that we all move about with every day. The patterns that we have of what we do in every day, however we're believing them to be, creating those new open offerings of now presence, continuing to live as the highest soul essence that you are, that light experience that you are. The light is all that you are. The physicality of who you are is brought together by the light and the catalyst of how we evolve. We've talked about those, and we're going to continue to talk about them because it's really essential in moving into these higher programs of light. This essence of who you are as light is your omnipresence, is your source that entangles and operates within the field of the all, calling in exactly what you need, calling in your presence and your oneness with source as source. It's not separate from us, it's the all it is. So as you live as this fluidic movement of source, as creator, as spirit, as light, then you become this fluidic movement, and you allow yourself to become more malleable, if you will, more um, harmonized in oneness, because it's really fluidic, it's not rigid. The ego is a very rigidic experience, rigidity, whether it's ego belief systems, really patternings and the attachments we have to certain ways of thinking. I mean, again, we're talking about patterns of attachment. Attachments are the patterns that we create through separation and fear. Our fear about being accepted in society, or fear about being accepted within our family. Any experience that we've had this lifetime or any other that have been traumatic, dramatic, or negative to the psyche, to the being of itself as spirit, will create those psyche imprints, those wounds that must be healed through our now experience as allness. And our light is the only way that we actually heal that. That light is love, self-love, self-honor, self-forgiveness, and compassion. And so all of these densities that have been created through time, through all experiences, all worlds, all realms, all bodies, all forms, because we've all played all roles, we've all played all forms, that's where we begin to release judgments. And we begin to see the allness of, wow, what I'm seeing over there is actually how I felt last week, because this little niggle was getting at me and I made a judgment about it, or myself. And so those cause separation. And those separations are what we're here to heal on every level. Subjugation on every level, limitation on every level, at different levels, at different speeds, at different temperaments, if you will. And so this catalyst of our light is how we evolve. Our light, as us, comes with the catalysts that allow us to continue to evolve and expand. It's no different than the catalysts that are used as our cells replicate. There are catalysts there, and those catalysts are the innate programming and the innateness that our DNA understands it to be true. We're going to go into a whole other video about this, because I'm just tapping into some remembrances and information and wisdoms that I have about these things. But it's really exciting on where our potentiation is with cell regeneration, our DNA, and various degenerations that we have within our DNA, whether it's Alzheimer's or other degenerative aging experiences as well. And so those are really, really exciting, that we're seeing it from this presence now, instead of the linear perspective of what we thought ourselves to be, as regenerating essences of spirit having a human experience. It's profound, really, really profound. As opposed to the human body thinking that it is continuing degenerative, and there is no master controller of the physical ship, and there absolutely is. It's flipped around. We are spirit, and we have absolute mastery at every process within our evolutionary cycle. We absolutely do. It's just mind-boggling, and I'm just, peeking in the door, if you will. And that's part of one of my excitements. And so the catalyst that always allows, and that's what we said, these catalysts can sometimes often be, if we're looking at the infinity, all of the things that we've wanted to change, and we said, well, that's not working for me anymore, I'm ready to let that go, ready to let that go. We all know, as we're awakening, our consciousness awakens, that those less integrous experiences are those catalysts to punch us out there, to get us going, like, let go of that rubber band and out you go, because that's our catalyst to say, well, I no longer want those reflections of those less than integrous experiences. I choose to live fully in my integrity, and I'm going to move this way now. Therefore, creating that reality of integrity, moving forward with you in every way, whether it's integrity with listening to your body. Again, these go back to attachments. What attachments do I have about who I am as a being? Those are attachments as well. How have you defined yourself through your beliefs, and what attachments are connected with that? About who you are is your value, about who you are and what you exist within and what exists within you. They all come with attachments, and one by one we transmute it and let it go and heal it, so that we may, at the catalytic experience, that core understanding and your knowingness of who you are. My catalyst is now my knowingness that I am spirit, I am a soul living in a human experience. which means I have infinite, eternal, all presence, all access. I am whole. Never separate, always one, always with source creator, highest universal energies. I am absolutely the master of this experience. And so that's that catalyst. That catalyst is the, in two separate experiences. I'm just going to explain this. So we've always explained the infinity as letting go, centering, now going out. And so that's that one illustration, if you will. This catalytic experience of you as the soul, the stepping in this higher version of you, we're now going to create the core unveiling, if you will. Because sometimes as I see it, I'll show you this experience. I'll show you this here. I'm only explaining it. So sometimes how I see is, this is the me experience is the most dense, if you will. And then I see layers, if you will. Physical template, the mental template, the etheric template, and their veils, if you will. And if I'm standing sideways, you'll see the overlays. Just so that I understand what the template is, if you will. And it's all one, of course, but just to show the layers of who we've thought ourselves to be and how these templates are all woven as one. And so the catalyst of who we are as the essence, that core energy of who you are as source creator, that essence as the soul, that higher self that lives through you, that soul that lives through your harmonization as mother, father, those essences are threaded with you and is who you are as source, that come through your soul blueprint as your soul's desire, your excitement, your exploration to express and explore and experience all that you are. Those are the catalytic enzymes, if you will, to always evolve in new ways. And it's infinite and it's eternal and it's always started with source. Therefore, it aligns purely with your truth as allness, as oneness, the truth of one, the law of one. You're always eternal, you're infinite. The one affects the all affects the one. The universal laws that are the foundation of this universe. And it's the omnipresence, the essence of source, that is the divine mind behind it all. That is it. You know, the heavenly exploration and joy to experience all life. There are universal laws, the science and the spirituality of it, harmonizing and you know, in that similitude, which is now what we're learning as we step into these higher templates. So these catalytic essences that each person has encoded, has chosen at the highest soul level before they get here, and obviously is always constantly moving and arranging and working as you sleep and in your higher conscious states and your healings and your pyramid of temples and your healing, all of those things that we do as an evolved being, that we're constantly allowing ourselves to maintain and sustain and activate new higher vibrational experiences. That's why daily self-care is so important, because it allows us this continuous catalytic fluid movement and experience. And how we explained it the other day was that these essences of all that you are, you'll always have the catalyst that will pop up in your daily experience, whether you're connecting with others, how you're moving throughout your day. Your higher self will always thread you, and your higher self and your soul and your oversoul and your oversoul of oversouls will always thread you these experiences in the multidimensional perspective, physical, mental, emotional, etheric, so that you're constantly through that infinity, letting go and evolving out, letting go, evolving out, letting go, evolve. And so how that aligns with your desire, your excitement, your expression, and your experience to be fully you, and to experience yourself as spirit, as light, as greater light, as greater light, as greater light. And that's the micro macro of the cell to source creator, the individual to the oversoul of oversouls. And that's the experience that evolutionary pure essence of who we are now living as. Stepping out of the idea that I'm a human and I'm separate from anything that seems to be beyond what I'm able to understand. So we're flipping it around and saying, you are a source essence, you understand it all. It's just a matter of your readiness to activate it, turn it on. Because you're source, having a human experience. You will always be inspired. You will always be gifted. You will always be guided. You will always be blessed. You will always be innately driven, but we say that in a way that is not egoic, because when we say that in an egoic way, it sounds like, well, I've got to make goals, I've got to do the vision board and all those types of things, and you have your staff reviews. I remember when I was a manager and a leader, we had to perform these reviews every 3 months. And then we had the big annual review that would be, then based on a salary change. And that's not what it is at all. These are about shifting into, and this is what's been most profound for me the past 2 weeks, that has been my so profoundly strange and odd, is to live as the fluidic essence without any attachment whatsoever as to what the physical looks like.